Hi, and welcome along to AFTV Transfer Daily, the show that keeps you up to date with players that we link with a January transfer move to Arsenal. Brought to you today by Snickers Protein. Do not forget the big transfer deadline day special that they are doing alongside on the Ball Street channel. I'm going to be appearing on that between 7 and 11 on the 1st of February. I'll be making an appearance. Also, don't forget you can use hashtag FanLine to send in your questions about the transfer window, and I will answer them, right? You can either put them in the comment section or you can tweet them to us and use the hashtag FanLine. Right, the big news today is all about Martin Ødegaard. We have spoken about him for the last few days on the show, and it looks like this is a deal that is going to get done. Martin Ødegaard, a 22-year-old from Real Madrid, creative midfielder, which is exactly what we've been looking for. There's lots and lots of reports coming out of Spain today that Ødegaard will decide or has decided to sign for Arsenal on a 6-month loan. Now, remember, he was heavily linked with Real Sociedad. I noted that Guillaume Balaguer yesterday was reporting that Martin Ødegaard wanted to go back to Real Sociedad. But it looks like there was two things that are a bit of a sticking point. Number one, Arsenal came with a very, very strong offer and really, really wanted him and have been doing business with Arsenal. Remember, we've got Dani Ceballos, so, we've got a decent relationship with them. There's talk that Ceballos even helped to persuade him. And then there's also the fact that if you look at it, Real Sociedad, they're only 7 points behind Real Madrid in La Liga. So would they really want him, after him having such a good season last year, to go to Sociedad and possibly push them up the table and heap more embarrassment on them? They already got embarrassed the other night when they got knocked out of the Copa del Rey by a third division team. So it looks like it hasn't been, certified yet, but all the indications, all the evidence at the moment is saying that he has decided to join Arsenal on a 6-month loan deal. There is no option, as far as I know, to buy at the end of that. They still want to keep hold of him. But however, if he does well, we can try and get into some negotiations. If he doesn't do well, then we just send him back. And I think this is a great deal for Arsenal. So fantastic news. I've got James on today. How you doing, James?
I'm very excited. How are you, Robbie?
Very, very excited as well. This is a very exciting signing, and I know that you've been doing some stats crunching, stats crunching on Ødegaard, and you were going to just tell us a little bit more about Ødegaard. So fill us in. What a bit about this guy.
What are we getting in Martin Ødegaard? Well, let's start with the player profile, so people get a bit of a. I mean, I'm sure people know a lot of this, but he's 22 years of age. That's a good age. An age, he's still got a lot of his career to go. And the reason I say that is because he's been around a long time. A lot of people have known the Martin Ødegaard name for maybe a good 6-7 years, but he's still only 22. He still wants to prove himself at the sort of upper echelons of European football. Stands at 5'8", left-footed as well. He's a number 10. He's made 47 appearances in La Liga, and according to Transfermarkt, he's got a market value of 36 million. So he's considered a real prospect. What are we getting? I mean, I think we're getting an Ozil-esque midfielder. The guy who likes to drop the shoulder, play intricate passes, 1-2s. He's a real creator in the middle of the park. He's able to play across the left, the right, and I think that's what's really impressive, as well as just the middle. I'll bring up this graphic here, where he could essentially be making appearances for Arsenal. I think what you're looking at here is an opportunity to really rest a Saka, a Smith Rowe, alternate. Smith Rowe can also play on the left if we need to, if Martinelli or Aubameyang aren't available. He gives us a lot of options in that sort of area. And I think that's what's really exciting. It's not just the quality he brings, but it's the versatility. It's the options he gives Arteta when you've got a week like what we've had, where you're playing Newcastle in the cup. You've then got, you're playing Newcastle in the league. You've then got a cup game against Southampton. Then you're playing them in the league a few days later, and it gets a bit sticky. And you're thinking, who do we rest? Who do we rotate? And this makes it a lot easier for him. I wanted to look at his loan spells because he's had a bit of a mixed bag in his career. And it's fair to say that I think in the last 6-7 years, it's only been the last year or two that he's really come alive. But let's have a little look. So he came from, forgive my pronunciation, Strømgodset. I'm sure I gave it a good go. Where he had
I'm not attempting it.
Where he bagged 5 goals and 6 assists in that season, and he was really sort of shining. I think he made his debut for Norway at the age of 15, and that's what really got people talking about him. He was, really setting the world alight at a very young age. He then got that move to Madrid, but since then he's had loan spells at Heerenveen, where it didn't go too well for him. He did all right, 3 goals, 5 assists. But then at Vitesse, that's where he really started to play some of his best football and rediscover his form. 11 goals and 12 assists before another loan move to Real Sociedad, where he did really well. Actually, I want to look into that Sociedad spell a little bit more in a second. 7 goals and 9 assists in that one season. And at Real Madrid, he's failed to have an impact. Limited appearances, but still no goals and no assists. Yet he's not really had the impact at the club you'd expect. And that's exactly why he's going on loan now. I think I read somewhere that he was brought back early from his loan spell at Sociedad, which was the weird thing, so they thought he was going to be a part of Madrid's plans, but it never quite happened. If I just bring this up here, this was his time at Sociedad. In 36 appearances, he got 7 goals and 9 assists, helped Sociedad finish 6th. Now, the season before, they did finish 9th, so he clearly had an impact. And his side scored 56 goals in that 1920 campaign. Only Villarreal, Barcelona, and Real Madrid scored more. And he was a really big part of what they did going forward. Their football, he was. We said on a stream before, didn't we, Robbie? It's that intricate pass. It's finding the pass between the lines. Do we have a player in our squad that can do that? Saka and Smith Rowe are so talented. But actually, they've not really displayed yet that they have that weight of pass, that, playing it through the lines of that. And Ødegaard definitely has that. So I think what we're getting is a very traditional number 10. But like we said with Ozil, who struggled to adapt his game to what football has become, Ødegaard can play out wide. He has got an eye for goal. He can hit them from distance. He can sort of make things happen in the final third in a sort of more, from wider areas, let's say, and still have that same impact. So I think we're getting a really talented player, and let's fingers crossed it goes through. I'm really excited about this one.
Yeah, and you know what? One of the things I was talking about yesterday, I remember me and you were talking about it actually, was the fact that he wanted to go back to Real Sociedad. That was what he, and I was like, if I was advising him, I'd be saying to him, well, listen, come out of your comfort zone. Instead of going to play where you did well last year, come and play in the Premier League. Come and play in the Premier League, challenge yourself. If you do well in the Premier League, you're either going to get you're either going to be saying to Real Madrid, right, you've got to play me now, or I'm going to stay at Arsenal, and Arsenal would be a big pull for him. It would be a big club for him. Listen, I guess every player wants to play for Real Madrid, but you can see there, he's been there a long time. He's very frustrated. And I think he would be, we don't know how the loan's going to work out yet. And as I said, what I'm understanding, there is no option to buy at the end of it, right? But this could be a good signing for Arsenal. If he comes and he impresses on that loan move, number one, it's all good for us because we know we're short in that position. And if it's him and Smith Rowe battling it out for that position, that's the perfect scenario for me. Yeah, I mean, that's going to push Smith Rowe. That's going to push Ødegaard. They're both very young players. They're both very dynamic players. It was, I know I've spoken before about Iscos and people like that, but Ødegaard fits the profile of what Arsenal are trying to do right now, which is they're trying to get young players in. We've seen how they've been shifting out a lot of the deadwoods over the past few weeks. They want young, progressive players, and this is a massive opportunity for Ødegaard. He's still got a lot to prove, and this is a massive opportunity for him coming to Arsenal. But it would be an excellent signing.
Yeah, I think so. And you're spot on there by saying, this is a really big move for him. We're not Real Madrid, but my God, we're still a massive, massive football club, and this is an opportunity because I think where this is made easier for him, he doesn't need to decide whether this is where he wants to spend the next 3-4 years of his career, some of his prime years. That's not what he's deciding. He's deciding what club he wants to try and have an impact at in a short amount of time to prove that he's still a quality player. And Arsenal's a great prospect no matter what, because if your CV says that you played for Arsenal, that is, players will want that. He doesn't have to worry about whether he thinks Arteta's the future and whether the club are going in the right direction. Maybe in the summer he'll address that if we want to make it permanent.
And playing for Arsenal is pressure.
It is.
Playing for Real Sociedad, obviously every club is pressure, but you're not in the limelight, right? Playing for Arsenal, you're in the limelight. You're every week, everybody is going to scrutinize everything you do. I mean, welcome to AFTV, Ødegaard. But not just AFTV. We've got a huge fan base, and this country is obsessed with football, and everything he does is going to be under the spotlight. Where at Real Sociedad, it's not. Let's be real, right? So this will be a massive move for him, and I think if it gets done, which is looking like it is going to get done, I think this is going to be brilliant for both parties. Really do think. And you have to say Edu would have pulled off an Arteta would have pulled off a good deal here.
Yeah, and actually, I really want to give them their dues, because I never expected going to this transfer window. I thought we'd do something, by the way. I was more hopeful and thought we would do some business. I never thought we'd get Kolasinac off the books, Ozil out, Socrates out, but I was more worried for Socrates' sake. I never thought we'd be able to ship them on, get Saliba the loan he wanted to France, and potentially bring in a real number 10 who can make an actual difference to this team. And it sounds like I know you're going to touch on it in the show later, but we're in for maybe a backup keeper and a left back too. So really credit to them. That's a really good January window, all things considered.
If it gets done, let's wait until it gets done.
If it gets done. I still want to commend them for trying. Yeah, they definitely tried to do the right things. Exactly.
It's looking good at the moment, and they're trying to do the right moves. But James, thank you very much. Thank you for coming on today. And of course, that's James. You know that James has always got all the stats here on AFTV. He's absolutely brilliant at it. And thanks for him there for filling us in on those stats. And that's good news if that happens. Now, it's looking like Mikel Arteta is making the right moves. He did his press conference yesterday, and Mikel Arteta was quite upbeat in his press conference and was being asked a lot of questions about transfers, right? And this kind of fits to what he was saying. If I give you some of the quotes, right? He says that we're in that process right now. We've done the first part, which is trimming the squad, more or less. And now we're focusing on the second phase. So we look on it and say that Ødegaard is part of this second phase. And he says, obviously, with this market and the context, it makes it very difficult. But we are looking at options, and we will see what we can do. We are looking at various positions, because the movements that we've made in the transfer window with some players leaving the club leaves us a little bit short in certain areas. If we can then do them, we will do it. If we can't, then we will just have to keep going with what we have, right? So he talks there about the second phase. And as I said, I was talking about yesterday how many players they've shifted out. I actually was yesterday looking at a really unbelievable stat. I've got a bit of paper here, right, about how much money we have wasted. I think it was Charlie Watts on Twitter. Well done to him for this, right? He brought this up. And he said that by this summer, could even be possibly by the end of this window if Mustafi leaves, Arsenal would have let go, and I'm going through the list here, Alexis Sanchez, Aaron Ramsey, Mesut Ozil, Santi Cazorla, Jack Wilshere, Socrates, Mustafi, Mkhitaryan, and Danny Welbeck, all in the last 3 years, right? We paid a combined £190 million for all of those players, right? I think only apart from Wilshere, but £190 million for all of those players. How much money have we received back in transfer fees for those players? Nothing. Zero. A waste of £190 million. And that's crazy. I mean, Socrates, he's gone. We paid what? 19 million? Nothing in return. It's crazy. Ozil, nothing in return. You know what I mean? So that just shows you that our transfer policy over the last few years has been terrible. And I think that, some of the previous guys that were running the transfer business have got a lot to answer for. And you have to consider the mess that Mikel Arteta has inherited when it comes to the amount of players he's had to try and shift out. And it's just been a disaster. So I'm glad that it looks like they're moving in the right direction now in the type of profile of signings they're making. I mean, the Willian one, maybe not, but with most of the other signings, you're looking and you're saying, yeah, signing up from someone like Gabriel, those are the right type of signings, the right type of age. And if it doesn't quite work out, you've got a bit of value in it, So, yeah, very interesting though. £190 million wasted. Now, one of the positions that we know we need is a goalkeeper. We've got the game tomorrow against Southampton. Who's going to play in goal? Remember, we've got a game against Southampton. Then we play them again on Tuesday, right? So really and truly, you want to rest, Burn Leno. You don't want to play him in both games. You want to give him a rest, keep him fresh for the game on Tuesday. But we're probably going to have to play Leno in both games because we know that we can't really at this stage trust Runarsson because, he's still looking very, he's looking a novice at the moment, like he's not quite ready. So will Arsenal bring in Freddie Woodman? I mean, listen, they won't be able to get him in time for that game. But obviously, we need a backup goalkeeper. That is very, very obvious. We know that he's at Swansea on loan, but he's a Newcastle player. He's behind Carl Darlow. He's behind Martin Dubravka, two very good goalkeepers. And Arsenal are interested in him. I didn't realize this a few days ago when I was talking about this, right? That Woodman's dad actually works at Arsenal as the head of goalkeeping. Andy Woodman, that is his dad, right? And Andy Woodman actually used to be a goalkeeper as well. So if you ever needed somebody to persuade him, that's his dad. His dad could go, yo, come on, Andy, come and join me at Arsenal. So I didn't realize that, but listen, if that's the case, it makes perfect sense to try and get him and try and bring him in. And certainly, you heard when I had Matty from the Magpie channel on the other day, and he rates him very, very, very highly and says he would be a great addition to Arsenal. I think we definitely need to get a goalkeeper in, and I'm hoping that one can happen. One of the different stories around today was this one that I saw about Christian Eriksen. Now, Christian Eriksen has been linked with Arsenal. This one, coming out of Italy from 22 Sport, they were suggesting that Inter Milan are interested in doing a swap deal for Christian Eriksen and with Lucas Torreira going in the other direction to Inter Milan. Now, listen, if the Ødegaard thing gets done, there's no way that's going to happen. I mean, I think there's no way that's going to happen anyway. And the Christian Eriksen thing. I mean, you know what I couldn't believe about Christian Eriksen, right? Because I see that he was linked with a move to Leicester as well. The wages that Christian Eriksen is on, he's on £300,000 a week. That is the report. Christian Eriksen. Hence why you can see why Inter Milan are trying to get rid of him. And how that's arisen is that they were trying to loan him to Leicester, but they were saying to Leicester, you have to pay all of his wages. And Leicester just said, yeah, all right, you keep him. But £300,000 a week, Christian Eriksen. Unbelievable wages there. Following Balogun, what is happening with him? Will he play tomorrow? Will he figure in that FA Cup game against Southampton? Mikel Arteta was asked about Balogun in his press conference yesterday. Asked about, will he be staying at Arsenal? What's happening with the whole negotiations around him? These are his quotes. He says, we're trying to get something done because we want him to stay and we have to go step by step. I think he's made some big steps in the last few months where he wasn't even training. And then he had a few good games for us. So the steps are there in every way, and we want to try to keep him. And because there are other players that haven't had many minutes and they played in the FA Cup, It takes time. We have to respect the pathway. Eddie Nketiah as well has not been playing a lot recently as well, and he's in front of him at the moment. So we have to be calm and respectful. So he's saying there that they're trying to get a deal done, but basically he's saying he's going to have to be patient. And he's saying there as well, making it quite clear, and I don't know what you guys think of that Eddie Nketiah is in front of Balogun. Not to mention Aubameyang, Lacazette, Martinelli. And this kid is saying that he wants to play week in, week out. So how's that going to work? You know, I'd love Arsenal to get this done. I'd love Arsenal to sort this out. I just fear that they've left this too late now, and that Balogun might move on, which would be a massive shame. I mean, the perfect scenario would be for Arsenal to get the deal done, sign him on a new long-term contract, then possibly send him out on loan where he can get the game time that he so desperately craves. But that rumbles on. We'll find out hopefully by the 1st of February what's going to happen with that. But Balogun at the moment still could leave by the end of the transfer window. Now let's get into some of your comments. Remember, I said use the hashtag fanline, and I will answer some of those comments. There's a couple here. Syed says the way we treated Socrates is despicable. He deserved better from the manager and the club. He always fought for the badge, even when we were performing poorly. I've got to say, Socrates, I said it yesterday, he always gave 100% at Arsenal. You can't fault that in him. And maybe, yeah, towards the end, it was a bit horrible how he was treated. But listen, they wanted him out. You know what I mean? And Mikel Arteta said yesterday, I think in his press conference, that, you know, he really liked Socrates and respected him, but they just had so many centre-backs and they had to leave some out, and he got the chop, unfortunately. Tyler Chan says, left back needed. If Kieran Tierney is injured, we are done out here. And he's suggesting Van Arnold or Bertrand can solve our problem in the short term, in low cost, since they have only 6 months left on their contract. Listen, we definitely need a left back. Definitely. Again, I want us, though, to go for a proper left back. I want us to go for a young, dynamic left back who's going to offer real competition to Kieran Tierney. Also related, says, I think that a player like James Ward-Prowse would do a good job at Arsenal. He knows the Prem and he's got amazing stats, and I've always liked him. James Ward-Prowse, of course, will be coming up against, if not tomorrow, definitely on Tuesday, I think the best set piece exponent in the Premier League. He's really good at set pieces, free kicks, corners. He's dangerous. He has really, really improved over the last few years. But I don't think that's the type of player we need right now, especially if Ødegaard is coming in. And let's hope it happens. It's looking good that Martin Ødegaard is going to sign for Arsenal, and that will be a good signing for Arsenal if they can, like James said earlier in the show, if we can shift out, you know, one more piece of deadwood, which I think that's Mustafi, move him on, bring in Ødegaard, bring in a goalkeeper and a left back. I think it would be a good transfer window. But what do you guys think? I would love to hear from you. Use the hashtag fanline if you want me to read out your question, either on Twitter or you can put it in the comments section right now. Thanks to Snickers Protein for sponsoring the show. We will be back tomorrow. And of course, we've got a game tomorrow. Arsenal taking on Southampton in the FA Cup.